What's up, fight fans? It's me, Jason Filthy Jones, coming back at you with another fight talk, of course, recapping everything that went down last week in combat sports. Now, guys, first off, I got to start off with Bellator 259. It was Chris Cyborg versus Leslie Smith 2, and good God Almighty, it literally went exactly as I thought it would go. It's another TKO win for Cyborg. I don't really see anybody that's going to be able to keep up with this woman except for Amanda Nunes and, of course, Kayla Harrison, who's starting to come up on the come up. And we all know that her contract's going to be ending this year for the PFL. And, of course, Bellator and probably the UFC are going to be going after her. Now, where does she land? I'm not sure. Now, what fight do I think needs to be booked? Of course, I would feel that the Chris Cyborg and Amanda Nunes fight needs to be rebooked for another rematch fight for them. I don't see anybody that's in the featherweight division that's really going to give either of those trouble. So that's just the way I feel about it, and that's the way Bellator ended up closing out that show. Now, in the co-main event, we have Darion Carwell against, of course, Leonardo Higo, and that fight kind of went, I would say, lackluster. It seemed like more that Darion was still not mixing in his wrestling with his striking really well, seemed to just be holding him down and not really doing much with his takedowns. It seemed like he thought he was just going to win off of just being able to hold down Leonardo down to the floor and not being able to get up back to the get back to his feet. But totally didn't go that way. Leonardo was able to get up and get off of his back. Darion wasn't really doing anything, but continuously pushing him back against the cage and doing the same old thing. And we walk out of there with the decision going towards Leonardo. So with that, where do we go with Darion Carwell? I'm really not sure. He's not going back to featherweight. He's trying to get back down to bantamweight. He's trying to stay consistent at that weight. But if we don't see if we don't see something change with his cardio, something change with his game planning on how he's going to be switching up and mixing in the striking, not in creating the space to be able to throw ground strikes, I don't really see him doing any damage in that division. It seems like he has a real upward climb back up to the top, and with Leonardo, it looks like we're going to have to see his next test and his next two fights to see if he will even get up there to fight Pettis. All right, guys, with that, we have to move into these UFC fights. And, of course, I'm talking about the UFC Fight Night of Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt. But before we get to that main event fight, there's a couple other fights I want to talk about on this card. And the first starting off with, of course, Edmund Shabazian versus Jack Manson. Now, guys, this fight basically went exactly the way I thought it was going to go. I thought in the first round that Shabazian would be able to control the striking game, keeping Hermansson on the outside, using his kickboxing and using his length just to keep Hermansson at bay until about pretty much what happened in the second round, where Hermansson just pushed forward, ate the shots, and basically was able to get Shabazian down to the floor. And from there, we just saw Shabazian basically be content on his back and being on the floor, not creating any scrambles, not creating any momentum to get him back to his feet. And then from there, from the second to third round, basically Hermansson just ground and pounded him out and threw up a couple of submissions to try to get Shabazian out of there, and was able to get him out of there with pretty much a dominant third round, which would probably be a 10-8. To me, it could almost be a 10-7. That's just my opinion, but I'm just saying this, guys. It's not like the UFC is doing Shabazian any favors. I kind of feel like he got thrown into the top of the division too soon. He wasn't ready. He's still pretty young. Hopefully, he'll be able to bounce back from this, and he'll be able to take some time off and work on his ground game. I would like to see him probably go mess with people up at AKA or maybe American Top Team, somewhere around where he can get a definite wrestling and jiu-jitsu ground grappling kind of style where he'll be able to work on that and mix it well with his striking. Other than that, it just seems like he's falling to the wayside. I don't think the confidence is going to be there anymore. And if he doesn't take a step back from a couple of the guys in the top 10, I don't see his career going down the path line. I feel like he would probably end up getting cut and having to try to fight his way back to the UFC. Now with Hermansson, we all know that he's just going to get thrown back in line to basically chase after that title shot. We're going to have to see how the fight goes down between Vettori and Adesanya, which I think is going to be in August or maybe late July. Have to get back to you guys on that one. Not exactly sure. I know they just announced it, but we'll have to wait till that fight goes down and then see where Manson's going to play out from there. Now, moving on from there, we got to move into this co-main event, which, of course, was Carla Esparza versus Yan Xiaonan. Now, guys, this fight did not go the way I thought it was. I thought Yan was going to be able to basically pick Carla apart and sit on the outside and just using her striking and using her power because of her length. But Yan had different ideas and did the stupidest thing you could ever do with the wrestler and basically went running headfirst towards Carla Esparza, and Carla said, "Thank you, here's a takedown." And from there just went off and teed off on Yan. Was able to just completely work her wrestling ground game and throw some elbows from hell and get Yan out of there. Now, where do we go from here? Yan, we all know that she needs to take some time off, and basically the same thing I'm saying for Shabazian. She's gonna have to work on the ground game. And just to let you guys know, from these two fights, or actually even from the Bellator fight with Cardwell, if you can't mix and be an all-around fighter, getting into the top of those divisions, those wrestlers, those grapplers who can mix their striking too, they're just going to be a murderer's row for you. There's not going to be anybody that's going to have the type of skill where you can just come in off of striking. The best basically background for combat sports, especially for MMA, is going to be wrestling, because it teaches you where you put your body placement and also where you're able to control the fight and put the fight to wherever you want it. Now, with Yan, I see her just going to have to take the time off. With Carla, the only thing I can think would be is to scream to the rooftops that you need to get that title fight. She's on a 5-fight win streak. She's looking dominant. She just got her second finish in the UFC from that fight and literally destroyed Yan. Now, how do I see it playing out with her and Rose? Not really sure. I'm pretty sure Rose is interested in getting that fight back, because that was the fight that Rose lost where she could have won the title and where Carla was able to be the first strawweight champion. Now, can't wait to see what's going to happen. We're going to just have to be paying attention to the news and see the back and forth and see if they're going to be setting up that fight, or if Rose will be taking on Zhang Weili again for a rematch. Who knows? Going to have to sit back and wait and see how it gets handled out in that. Now, with that, guys, of course, I got to move into this Rob Font versus Cody Garbrandt fight. And I'm finding a little bit of similarities in the co-main event with Darian Carwell and Leonardo Higo. Like, Cody looked very composed, which I was really happy to see that he found his composure. He wasn't just going in there basically guns blazing, swinging for the fences and just trying to get into a brawl. He got tagged a couple of times in there from Rob Font and was able to find his composure, exit out, and try to get back in. And I did like that Cody was basically mixing in his ground game and was able to get the takedowns. Cody's a phenomenal wrestler. Doesn't really use it. Usually likes to go with his hands. But we all saw from here that Rob Font, that reach and that lanky style that he has and his crisp-ass boxing, it just was a little bit too much for Garbrandt. Garbrandt couldn't really get in on the inside and wasn't able to land the shots, or the power shots that he wanted to. And when he was getting the takedowns, it wasn't like he was really doing much with it. Now, also coming off with Garbrandt coming back from COVID, not trying to give him any excuses, I'm just saying Garbrandt was really devastated by COVID. He had blood clots. He had all kinds of problems and had a ton of medical condition problems. Now, coming back and using a wrestling-based style, that's going to zap your cardio. Plus, with coming back and being healed up from COVID, I'm pretty sure he was zapping on his cardio from there. Now, the one thing I would take away from here is that you can't count Cody Garbrandt out either. Also remember, he's only 29. He still has a few years ahead of him. I'm sure he can get back up there for a title shot. I think he just needs a little bit more time with Mark Henry and working on his wrestling and mixing in his striking with his wrestling. I think he's going to be something to stay paying attention to, and seeing that he's going to be a phenom at 135 again and be able to get that belt back. Now with Rob Font, I see him being a straight top contender, but we all know there's a log jam right now in bantamweight division. You got Aljamain Sterling that's sitting at the top where he has to dance with Peter Yan again and get that all handled. And then we also have TJ Dillashaw going up against Corey the Sandman Sanhagen. So we're just going to have to see how these fights play out and see where Rob Font falls in there. Now, if Rob Font wants to pick up another fight, I still know that Dominic Cruz is sitting out there. He might be able to dance at the end of the summer with them. If not, we're probably not going to be seeing Rob Font come back until 2022. Now, with that being said, guys, that's pretty much all I got for you guys this week for the fights that went down last week, because there are no fights this week. So we get a break, we get a pause. But do got a little bit of the fight news. And of course, the fight news I'm going to start off with is, what the hell is going on with Jon Jones in heavyweight? Not sure, seeming like Dana's like pushing him to the side and basically saying that he doesn't have to worry about him. If he doesn't want to pick up the fight against Stipe, then he'll probably be sitting out for the whole year, which is favorable for Jon, because even when he's on layoff, he usually comes back pretty strong and pretty defiant, and with his technique and be able to develop. I think it would be a little bit better for him, because he'll be able to sit around at that heavier weight for him and work on that, working on his cardio and working on his striking from there, and mixing in his grounding to be able to balance out his cardio. Now, hopefully, I'm praying to God we do get the fight with him and Francis Ngannou. If we don't, we don't. Hopefully, Jon will end up back sometime in the fall, if not early 2022. Then with that, guys, I also got a big fight announcement today. We are going to be getting Max Holloway versus Yuri Rodriguez. Now, not the fight that I thought we were going to get with Max Holloway, not minding it, but I really feel sorry for Yuri Rodriguez because, I mean, he's been out for damn near almost 2 years, and you're going to come back and try to get into a fight with Max Holloway, especially after he just put on that dominant performance against Calvin Kattar. I just don't think this is going to be a good matchup for Yuri, but we're going to have to wait and see. And with that, guys, that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I know it's a short one. I will be getting back to you guys next week once and getting ready for that breakdown of next week's fight. Until then, guys, like always, help your brother out. Hook me up with the subscribers. Also, mash that like button so we can beat this algorithm and we can get the Filthy Report out there so everybody can hear about Fight Talk and Let's Get Geeked. And like always, guys, if nobody loves you, always remember, I love you. I'm always here for you guys. Hit me up whenever you guys need me. You know where to find me at the Filthy Report on all social media platforms. Till next time, guys, peace.